Okay, I know what you're saying. You've seen this video, you're like, well, the other one was over a year ago. No Way Home comes out next month. What are you gonna do? Probably not gonna get them all done by then, but we're gonna try. So let's get into Spider-Man 2. I like to start these things with an anecdote, and I have them for every Spider-Man movie, so yeah, have fun with that. The year was 2004 and I was on a vacation with my dad and my sister at this British holiday park called Butlins. So one evening we decided to go to the cinema on site, and there I see the poster for Spider-Man 2. Now my sister point blank refused to watch it, instead opting to see Shrek 2. I had seen this movie the previous week with a friend, so my dad suggested I see Spider-Man 2 on my own while him and my sister watched everyone's favourite ogre. By the time the trailers rolled around, I realised I had the entire screen to myself. Yeah, imagine kid me with a cinema to myself, feet on the seats, Diet Coke in the cup holder, and popcorn all over the floor, ready to witness the epic that was Spider-Man 2. This is one of my favourite superhero movies of all time. Yeah, I don't hate the Sam Raimi films. So first, let's get into all those juicy plot points you love so much. First off, we are greeted by this beautiful oil painting recap of the first movie. I'll be honest, this gets me fucking hyped. There's something about Elfman's score here that seeps into that recap and really brings back that emotion. I like this, guys. This was a good call. We then switch to Peter giving a speech about Mary Jane and responsibility, except it feels like the screenwriters really don't want him to say responsibility, followed by a perfect example of Peter struggling with the issue of being Peter Parker and Spider-Man by screwing up at his pizza delivery job. Oh look, it's fucking Admiral Zhao. Peter attempts to drive recklessly through New York on a moped before deciding that this is a job for Spider-Man. I have to admit, this is not the first time I've fantasized about superheroes delivering food. That's weird, right? Like, if the Flash delivers my Taco Bell, sure, it's gonna be here in 10 seconds, but is that Crunchwrap Supreme gonna be warm? I don't know, someone get superpowers and deliver me some food. Spidey saves some kids that run in front of a truck and gives them a little talking to, and that is just definitive Spider-Man for me. Sure, Peter will lose his job if he's late delivering pizzas, and of course he's gonna save the kids regardless of personal consequence, but damn Peter Parker, you're gonna lose 10 seconds just to tell these kids not to run out in front of a truck again. That's a Spider-Man right there. Also, I always wondered about this scene. Spider-Man's webs take about an hour to biodegrade. You're telling me that pizza gonna be web-free when you deliver it in 5 minutes? Hello, sir? Take your web-covered pizza back. I don't want to be eating this shit. Peter emerges later from the fucking janitor's closet and proceeds to lose his job. Seriously, dude, no one's figured out you might be Spider-Man, huh? We find out that JJ has successfully turned the city against Spider-Man through J.K. Simmons chewing the scenery, spitting it out, and chewing it up some more. I feel fairly confident in saying that J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson, is the best thing in these movies. He's just fantastic. Peter arrives at Aunt May's house to discover Harry and MJ there for his birthday, which he actually forgot about. Honestly, I've never figured out how people forget their own birthdays. We find out Harry is making a name for himself at Oscorp and has invested in Peter's idol and subject of his yet unwritten college paper, Dr. Otto Octavius. Otto tries to create a new sun, essentially, and uses a set of 4 mechanical arms to attempt to control it. Obviously, it all goes haywire and we get Dr. Octopus.
Guy named Otto Octavius winds up with 8 limbs. What are the odds?
After Otto goes off on a maniacal crusade to recreate his science project, attacking the bank Peter now mayor at, Peter is dealing with the implications of being Spider-Man and decides he's done with it. He tries to make things up with MJ, do well in college, and enjoy hot dogs apparently. But after some solid advice from Aunt May and MJ getting kidnapped following Harry giving up Peter to Octavius, Peter puts the suit back on to save the day, and because, well, it's not much of a Spider-Man movie if he doesn't. One of the best fights in all of cinema occurs between Spidey and Octavius on top of a train, cementing the trope for years to come in the superhero genre. Now, I swear to God, I have a huge issue with this scene, but still, this shit gets me on a whole other level. Now, the people on the train promise to keep Peter's identity secret, put his mask back on, and then he gets up for Otto to just knock him back out. Now, my problem with this scene is, I get the heart, I get the whole thing of New York's behind Spider-Man, but you are not telling me that not one person there took a picture to sell to JJ and, you know, get out of debt or whatever. This is America.
This is America.
People go bankrupt for hospital bills. Of course someone will give up Peter's identity. And don't give me that stuff of like, oh, it was 2004. There were still camera phones. They weren't very good, but they had cameras on them. You could still take pictures. Pictures existed in the real world in 2004. So somebody will have ratted out Spider-Man and got that money, got the bag and gone home. Like, I don't know, this is really nitpicky, but this scene really bothers me. But then in the same breath, that's kind of why I love it, because it's that cheesy relationship that Spidey has with New York, and it's so uplifting, and it's such a central theme through all of these movies. Ock takes Spidey to Harry in exchange for the highly expensive material tritium to recreate his solar-powered energy reactor wrecking death machine. Harry unmasks Spider-Man to see his good old buddy Peter staring back at him. Peter gets up and finds out that Octavius is recreating the machine from Harry and swings off to save MJ, leaving Harry to hate Peter and set up the sequel.
Peter, you killed my father.
There are bigger things happening here than me and you.
Just tell him what happened, you idiot. So anyway, Peter fights Doc Ock. It's friggin' awesome. MJ finds out Peter is Spider-Man, and Octavius is left floating in the river dead after taking the machine down with him. Or is he? Ho 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 ho, no way home. And the day is saved. MJ doesn't get married to a douchebag and instead chooses Peter, and it's all gravy in Spiderville. Much like in the first movie, the characters are the solid foundation of this film. Peter Parker is brilliantly portrayed. I know, I kinda gave you shit before, Toby, but you really smashed this one. Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane still annoyed me before, but upon watching the 2.5 version of this movie, I feel there's more clarity and weight behind her decisions. I don't know, she seems like less of an arsehole on my rewatch. Still a damsel in distress though. Alfred Molina knocks it out of the park as Doc Ock. I love this so much. He's a wonderfully written tragic hero. If you don't know what that is, look up Shakespeare. Rosemary Harris is back killing it as Aunt May, of course. James Franco still seems stoned every scene he's in.
Nobel Prize, Otto. Nobel Prize. We'll all be rich.
And J.K. Simmons is equally as iconic as the first outing. Why wasn't this scene in the final cut? This is the definition of chewing the scenery. These characters pull me into the movie and make me connect with them on a human level. Peter's struggling with everyday life and being Spider-Man. Mary Jane is struggling with rejection and issues of love. Doc Ock is struggling with his dreams being ripped away from him. Harry is dealing with inheriting his father's legacy and debating whether to smoke a joint or not before every scene.
Hiya.
The human drama hits home in this one. Who hasn't dealt with juggling work, education, and a social life? Hell, I struggle with a job, YouTube channel, and a social life. All the foundations set up in the first film really hit you, and continue to do so throughout the course of the movie. Something about this one resonates with me more than any other superhero movie. All the components are here, and they work together brilliantly. To me, this is a fantastic Peter Parker. Even more so than the first one. I believe in him as a character. I empathize with him, from his management of responsibilities to his failing love life, dwindling friendships, his constant battle between doing what's right and having a normal life. Everyone has dealt with one of these things, and both Toby and Sam do an excellent job of making you remember that. Alfred Molina, as I mentioned earlier, perfectly embodies the Shakespearean tragic hero that is Otto Octavius. He was in love, he wanted to help people, and felt completely susceptible to his ambitions. Molina really dives into this role and makes the character completely his own. I think he's my second favourite aspect of this movie. I'll get on to my favourite later, but every scene he's in steals the show for me. When rewatching this, I expected it to massively fall from grace. Now, considering I have to put Endgame as my favourite superhero movie because of the last hour, I'm still going to say this is one of the best damn superhero movies ever made. It really says something that I have seen this movie well over 100 times. Yeah, when I was a kid and I got a new movie on DVD, I just repeatedly watch it until I got a new DVD. I was a weird kid. I'm a weird adult man. Things don't change. And that's so true for this movie. Okay, sometimes the CGI can look a little dated, but at the end of the day, It looked good for when it came out, and I don't feel that takes anything away from it now. No additional superheroes dropping in, although those Doctor Strange Easter eggs are both intriguing and excellent, especially considering Sam Raimi appears to be directing Doctor Strange 2. No connected universe, just the story of one guy, one superhero, trying to find his place in the world. And I think its lessons and morals can still teach something today. Peter's internal struggle bathes in the concept. His very sanity is being pushed to the limit as Spider-Man, whilst the safety of his loved ones is jeopardized as Peter Parker. It's heartbreaking yet enduring and has you constantly rooting for the character. This movie embraces the goofy and the cheesy whilst balancing the very real human drama. I think it's a testament to Sam Raimi's talents, and that leads me to my favorite thing about this movie: the relationship between Spider-Man and New York City. NYC is a character in all of the Spider-Man movies, but never more so than here. The city is living and breathing. We see Spidey saving people. Much like good old Uncle Cosmonaut, seeing a superhero save people is actually just my kink. I swear to God, it is so satisfying to see our protagonists rescue members of the public, as opposed to big CGI fights all the time. Yes, I love big CGI fights, but I don't know, I just love to see civilians being saved. We see the city rally around him as an 8-legged freak attacks a train. The Bugle is relentlessly trying to bring him down, but despite that, New York still roots for Peter. When it comes to characterization, Sam Raimi knows exactly how to weave a very human drama into a flashy superhero movie without ever losing its substance. Aunt May might be a bit of a cliche, but damn, her speeches hit me right in the feels. I think it's the combination of these fantastic action set pieces, these amazing acting moments, and of course, that spectacular Spider-Man goodness that make this my joint top Spider-Man film. I really didn't expect to love Spider-Man 2 as much on this rewatch. In an MCU world, I thought my enjoyment of this film would be based purely on nostalgia, harking back to that empty cinema with an extremely excited young Calamity dreaming of getting the spider bite and swinging through the streets of London. But this movie is just as solid and spectacular without the rose-tinted glasses. Tobey Maguire was my Spider-Man. Not my favourite by any means, but he still means something to me as this universe's Peter Parker. I root for him in his moments of triumph and empathise with him in his moments of struggle. Spider-Man 2 wears its heart on its sleeve, and it's a true testament to the superhero genre. In fact, I'd say this movie had a massive part to play in today's MCU formula, and embraces all of its facets while never overemphasizing them. It's the perfect combination of amazing superhero goodness and grounded human struggle. And I'm sure it's a movie I'll be showing to my grandkids one day, which is why I'm giving Spider-Man 2 a 9.5 out of 10. Well guys, we did it. It took over a year. Get the second one out. And yeah, No Way Home is coming, as I said, so I want to try and roll these out a bit quicker and get through them. So I guess next is Spider-Man 3. I have to watch Spider-Man 3. Fuck!